Welcome back. Unfortunately, we've had a loss of life in the saddle hunting community. There was, looks like there was a suspension trauma, and according to the article, suffocation was the cause of death. And I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about some of the issues involved with either getting out of the situation or preventing it altogether. Let's check it out. So I watched a video last night of it's done by someone that I won't name him, but it's well respected now in the saddle hunting and tree climbing community, talking about loss of footing and self rescue and um, what can be done. And my take on it is if your if your system allows for a loss of footing, and a loss of footing can lead to suspension trauma, then your system is simply not safe enough for the task in hand. My background is in aviation and commercial rated pilot, and over again, we learn that accidents are a series of events, choices, decisions that if you were to remove one of them, the accident would be averted. And so I know, climbing sticks are popular. One sticking is popular. To me, it's something I would never do. I would never do. Um, it's a hot mess because all you have to do, setting aside, you lose your footing on the stick kicks out, the rope fails, the cleat fails, the whatever attachment fails, and you're hanging on a tether tied to the tree, and now you have to find some way to relieve the pressure on that tether to get down. Unless you have a alignment belt, and you're probably on your way down the tree. You're just gonna scrape your face all the way down to the ground, and be held next to the tree when you collide. So um, the loss of footing is what caused the handicap, or how would we say it, like a handicap. You can't, you become helpless. You're hanging on a line. Some of the rope climbing systems where there's no footing other than maybe on the rope, which would be a good thing to always have. That's why I push the two tethers. Um, my two tether, 2TC. I have each tether has a foot loop, and the foot loop is connected to my foot. My foot cannot fall out of that stirrup or foot loop, whatever you want to call it. So these things that you're experiencing, or you can experience with one stick or any number of sticks, simply is not going to happen to me. It's not. Um, your SRT, DRT, your different rope climbing systems. Um, Sometimes you can have, if you're not really familiar with them, you can have a problem where your mechanical device locks up, or your your method of descent, figure eight or a munter hitch, or if you tie it wrong, or you get some loose piece of another end of a rope, or um, your coat gets wrapped up in that munter hitch, which can easily happen. You're stuck, and now you're suspended, and you're helpless. So the um, the solutions offered in the video essentially turned whichever system you have in your tether, turned it into a, a two tether, the kind I have, with a stirrup on each foot. Shazam! You know, um, I think for whatever reason, people climbing to hunt have looked to the arborist industry for solutions, and I think that's second best choice at best. I think the linemen, they go up and down poles, and I have a lot. You might not have a lot of trees that are like that where you hunt, but where I am, they're plentiful, and I have to go up a certain amount, come straight down. I have a ranged weapon. I can find a tree within the 30 yards or so that, or farther if I'm using a rifle, but I can find a tree that is telephone pole size and fairly straight off to the side in range. And really that's all I need. So they look to the arborist industry, and not everybody is familiar, or they don't have the fitness level for it, or they make some mistake that they didn't see, they didn't think about. Rather than looking to the arborist industry, you might look at the pole climbers. Now, I, back in the day, in the 80s, I was hanging from a harness that you know, we sewed on the heavy duty machine we had out of seatbelt, and I hung on that on a tether, and I got up there with spikes. But then they outlawed spikes on public land, and it's no longer an option. So I went to the two tether with stirrups or foot loops, whichever you prefer. And it's similar in use, but it's safer. I've lost my footing even with spikes. I slid right down a tree, 20 feet. I mean, it wasn't super fast descent, but I slid right down a tree on an island out in Lake Michigan. I was all alone. I was way out there. It was like, I don't know, it's over 20 miles out, but um, I didn't get hurt. But the potential is there. With 2TC, I can my self rescue with footing when I have with loops that hold my foot in the stirrup, both feet in the stirrups at all times, with them in there, and double connection to the tree, double tie into my harness. I've bypassed all those potential problems that get you into trouble in the potential for suspension trauma in the first place. So I hope um, I hope you consider that. I hope I would if I were to I haven't found a need for it yet, but if I were to do any rope climbing, or if I did climb with spikes and just use a tether, my tether would be rappel and it would all be set up, and the only step I'd have to take would be to break the friction hitch loose, or drop my rope to the ground and drop my rappel rope to the ground and break that friction hitch loose. But um, the we ought to look also to the mountaineering and the rock climbing industry, and they avoid rappelling. It's there's I think his name's Kilpatrick, um, wrote a book on rappelling, and his foreword said that rappelling is like fighting off a grizzly bear with a spoon. It's a last resort. That's how they treat it. So anyway, um, I'm gonna put the new tethers on a pole over here and show them real quick, and um, I hope you think about it. I hope if you feel like you need a foot loop, maybe you ought to think about having that connected or built into your tether. Even if you're one sticking, have a foot loop on your tether. If you have a single tether that you tie off to, or a double foot loop on the one, at least that way you can get that pressure. I think what caused Dane to succumb, he had a build that probably caused it. When his weight went down into the saddle or harness he had, it probably compressed his abdomen into his up into his diaphragm, and reduced his ability to breathe. So it's unfortunate, and condolences to the family. But let's go over here and look at this, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is my latest version of my two tether, and I only had put one of them on here. This is my connection, and but the thing I wanted to show here, and I think you should all consider that typically your tether is just some kind of loop on the end of the rope, and one line that you tie into. And if you're one sticking and you lose your stick, you have no footing. Now you could pull out your you pull out your rappel rope maybe and connect it and rappel down. But if you are struggling to breathe in the process of this and you don't get it done fast enough, you're toast. So just as a suggestion, now this is my tying line, so I don't want to really talk about that right now, but I want to talk about, rather than have two lines coming off, or one line coming off of your tether that you tie into, if you run two, you can put a loop on the other one, and it starts with just under here. I got this on here as a abrasion protection, but I have a bowl hitch. I have a bowl hitch to this delta, and then the two lines go, and you can load either side of a line coming off of a bowl hitch, And one would come to your tether, to your saddle, your bridge, and then the other one you can have just in the event that your stick kicked out, and you could get your foot in there or feet and get the pressure off of your hips, your waist, and your your abdomen, torso, and that would give you some footing. It would be built in, and um, should give you enough footing to be able to do anything else you want to do. Then you could set up your rappel or do any work that you could take all the tension, almost all the tension right off of this line, and fix your say you had rappelling on a munter or figure eight or something. Somehow it got fouled with this extra bit of rope and a loop. You could use that to sort out whatever problem you got going on. So I hope that helps. Be safe. Good hunting. Thanks for stopping by.